Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marufu, and I'm going to be taking you through professional ethics. It is one of our courses that we're supposed to fulfill before we complete our program, and I'm sure most of you now are part fours. Huh? So it's a fairly logical course, and I don't think it's very difficult, and I wouldn't want any one of us to meet any challenges. And because I'm sure most of us are working, and these are some of the things that we meet on a day-to-day basis. So without wasting much of your time, our course is called Professional Ethics. Basically, it comprises of two words: professional and ethics. So now we need to define what professional is, what a profession is, what ethics is. I remember in our assignment, I asked you to differentiate between ethics and morals and the law, something that will be deemed illegal. So that's one of those are some of the things that we'll be doing throughout. A disclaimer: this is not a lecture; it's a tutorial. What this entails is I will be gunning for your participation. The lesser you participate, the lesser we proceed, the lesser we get. So the more we participate, the more information that comes to us. Because at the end of the day, I'm just here trying to iron out those gray areas that you'd have challenges. So this, I'm in my mindset. I'm thinking, you guys have prepared something, and you guys is now just a means to clarify those gray areas. I hope we're in agreement. Okay. Professionalism is the competence or skill expected of a professional. So there is now need for us to define what a professional is. A professional is relating to or belonging to a profession. Now, a profession is a paid occupation, especially one that involves prolonged training and study. E.g., teaching. That is one professional. So, from that definition, we can check routine. Why this course is important to us, because you guys are studying for be it IT, multimedia, software engineering, or network engineering. So that's a profession. So the goal of this course is to teach you the ethics of the profession, so that you behave in a norm, or in the norm that is accepted of you. That is basically the major reason of this course. So whichever way we were trying to tackle it, at the end of the day, we're trying to come up with something. We're trying to give you knowledge on how to become someone who's an ethical and morally acceptable behavior, someone who can provide that behavior. That's basically it about the course. Like I said before, it is not typical of most of the courses that you've been doing. Most of the courses that you've been doing comprised of describe what an operating system is, what's the effect of what's it called, let's say, OSIM model on how communication is taking place, define data distributed systems. So that was the norm of your of the nature of questions that you guys used to tackle. But now with professional ethics, it's now slightly different. It's not the wrong way. They actually call them gun. You now need to defend. So that means there's no right. At most of the questions, there are no right or wrong answers, but it depends on how you defend them. So the lesser you defend, the lesser you don't get marks, so to say. So what we mean by defending is I would want you to justify your answer. Which one, an example is, which one would be preferred, leaving the door open, leaving the door closed? So there's no right answer, but how you defend earns you more marks. How you defend gets you to get more marks. So that is the nature of this course. So we've defined profession. So a profession is an occupation whereby you have gone for training for a certain period of time, and you are qualified for that role, that job. So for you to, that's a profession. So for the person who partakes in that is called a professional. Profession is a calling that requires specialized knowledge and often long and intensive academic preparation. That is what we go. That is what you guys have been doing since part 1. So we're grooming you to be professionals because you are venturing into a certain profession, a field of profession. Moving on. Ethics is a set of beliefs that right or wrong behavior within a society. Ethical behavior conforms to general accepted norms. So if looking at it, we have something that is, we have behavior which is accepted within a certain society. Meaning to say, you can behave in a way which is socially acceptable in one society, and the other in a different society, that behavior will be deemed unacceptable. Can someone give me an example of such a behavior which can be deemed acceptable in one society, and in another society it will be unethical? That's for you guys. Can someone give me an example?
Can you come again? Say, didn't heard the person correctly?
I'm saying the definition of ethics, it says a set of beliefs that right or wrong behavior, a certain beliefs about right or wrong behavior within a society. Ethical behavior conforms to general accepted norms. So my question to you guys is, what behavior is accepted in different societies, is accepted in one society, but unacceptable in a different society? So there's behavior which is accepted in a society. That same behavior is not being accepted in a different society. So I wanted an example from you guys of one such behavior.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right. In some societies, smoking in public is it's unethical, but in some they don't mind about it. I don't know if I'm correct there.
That's correct. Anyone to give us another example? They're very obvious, some of these examples. Right. Jamaican society, it's allowed to smoke weed, but in our African context, Zimbabwean context, society, it's not ethical to say. It's illegal actually. in some cases, in some societies, it's allowed to marry 3 wives, 2 wives. Polygamy is accepted, but in some cases, it's unethical. So that's just an example that I was expecting from you. Can someone give me just one more example before we proceed? One more example, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, just one example,
I think abortion.
In some other cultures, they consider that maybe legal, but in some other countries, they may consider it immoral to do that.
Okay. The abortion. Abortion, isn't it illegal? Because in Zimbabwe, I know abortion is illegal. But in the States, I know abortion is legal. So yeah, your example makes sense, because in that context, we're saying, if you in the American society, abortion is legal. You are allowed to abort. But in an African context, it's immoral for anyone to abort. That makes sense. That's fine. So moving on. Now we've defined profession.
But
We
are
defined
we not
come again.
Huh?
My team is Mzondo.
I'm just saying, are we not? What I'm saying, are we not mixing things here? Because I'm seeing there is this thing which is coming up, which is legal, and there is this thing which is ethics. So
Yeah.
Abana mix up.
It's okay. You discover in our next in most of our examples that are going to come, we are going to struggle. We're going to come up with whenever you come up with a question, attempt a question, your question needs to be bound by morals, ethics, and legality.
Okay.
You see, so like the question, the example that David brought about, he said abortion. Abortion in Zim is illegal, but in the States it's legal. There in the States, it could be legal, but in some areas it is
Listen
unethical.
one more time. There are questions to answer.
You get where I'm coming from, so this is why I asked you to differentiate between morals, legal, and law, because there are certain instances whereby you're going to get a situation where something is ethical, but it could be somewhat illegal, and something is legal but unethical.
All right.
So now I just wanted us to get an appreciation whereby we're saying that Mr. Mzondo, you said you're from Manicaland, and
From Mashonaland East.
Marsh East, that's fine, Marondera.
Yes.
If you marry a wife in Marondera, but the norm dictates that your wife kneels for you and claps their hands and that sort of thing. And but come to Matebeleland, they don't care about that.
Noted.
So that behavior, and if that person, if a Matebeleland lady is married in a context, they now need to learn the ethics and norms of that area. So that is what I wanted us to understand. Something can be ethical in a certain context, in a certain society. All right. Another example. Someone gave us an example of smoking. In a white society, a lady smoking, there's nothing wrong with that. But in our African context, a lady who smokes is shunned and people deem that unethical.
Yeah, it will be taboo.
It's the same practice, but context-wise now, where it's applying, that's where it's different.
Okay. Yeah, now it's again.
No, that's fine. So thank you so much for that. Moving on. So we defined ethics. We defined professionalism, profession. Now, the next thing that we need to know, understand, is morals. Can someone assist me by giving me a definition of what they think morals are? Do not take my definition. Morals. Are there any ladies in this tutorial? Let's say a female voice. Lee. Morals. I'm asking about something that you wrote in your assignments, guys. Fungai, morals. Okay, guys, if you don't participate on it, you end up having mixed. You end up having things that are not properly clarified. So when I'm asking for such definitions, I want to hear it from your point of view. So if you don't participate, I'll just proceed. That's fine.
I think my morals, we can just say my issues in my standard of behavior on how one can behave on a certain condition.
Okay. Standards of behavior.
Yeah, my standards of behavior, exactly.
All right. So my definition says morality refers to social interventions about right or wrong that are so widely shared that they become the basic established consensus. So it's saying here, shared, widely shared, that become the basis. So, however, individual views of what behavior is moral varies from age, culture, group, ethnic background, religion, life experience, education, and gender. Let me try and explain. It is morally acceptable for a child to run around without a shirt. Someone who's below 5 can go to the shops without a shirt and come back. But for someone who is 20 years, for them to go to the shops without a shirt, morally, it's unacceptable. You see now where it's coming into play now.
Yes.
For someone that's just age, and religion, the same Christian context. My SDA, they raised on Saturdays. Yes, you raised on Saturdays, Fridays and Saturdays, but Vamwe they raised on Sunday.
Yeah.
My Catholics, they drink, but in my other denominations don't allow drinking. And someone who's got, I'm going to give this example. I hope no one will take offense. Those illegal gold miners, most of them, they are uneducated. So it's allowed for them to, it's morally acceptable for them to behave in a manner that they behave. They get money, they splash all over. It's allowed because of their educational background. But it's not morally acceptable for a professor to behave in the same manner. You see where this is coming from. The CEO of Econet, Strive Masiwa, cannot be drinking soup. Masupa. But for a mere person who is not known, they can drink it. It's not. So now we're not saying it's not ethical for the CEO of Econet to drink those traditional beers. You can, but the moral aspect of it, because remember these are rights or wrongs that are shared and established from a consensus. So it is it is a group of people agreeing on something and saying this is morally acceptable and this is immoral. So like I said, it varies from age, culture, group, ethnic background, religion, life experiences. Someone who has how can I put it? I want to find an example of a life experience that someone who is, let's say, how can I put it? I'm trying to find an example of life experiences. Someone has gone through traumatic experiences can be allowed to behave in a manner that is different from someone who is had everything smooth in their life. So like I said before, there is no right or wrong answers if in the event that you're given an example. It's how you defend that your position. If you say no, it's morally acceptable for women to smoke, to defend. It's acceptable for someone in such and such a situation to do this, to smoke, but not acceptable for someone to smoke. Like, see, it's morally acceptable. Another example, smoking weed is illegal in Zimbabwe, but if you go, there are certain areas where people smoke in public, they smoke weed in public, and them smoking weed in public is not bearing on morals because that behavior was deemed acceptable or right within that same community or that social environment. So a group of people mukaungana and you start smoking weed, because you have accepted that as right, and you shun everyone who maybe takes something different to alcohol. It is so you need to understand the difference between beliefs of right or wrong and a widely shared establishment of consensus of that concept of right or wrong. So now I need an example from you guys of something that is ethical but immoral, and something that is moral but unethical. It's for the floor, guys. I need something that's ethical and but immoral. Something that is moral but unethical.
I think something which I can call immoral. It might be driving in Blawai Road at 120 kilometers per hour. It can be immoral because it is based on past experience with munhu pakambomhanya at such a speed something terrible happened. But
That is illegal. Satatomboenda kuri.
120 nobvunzwa muna Blawai Road.
Oh, you mean highway?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, but it may be immoral just because on the past experience yake pakamufamba such speed, something terrible happened. But to some, it might be ethically correct kuti munhu afambe with that speed because nyika inotozvitendera also kuti kana uri this road pane pekutoti unobvunzwa. So it might be ethically correct to someone.
All right, take this for an example. Now I want you to bring this to context. Past experiences now comes into this. You are giving a lift to someone who has had a very, very terrible accident in the highway.
Yes.
So it might be right for you to travel at that speed, but bearing into mind that someone once had an accident that person aranga at ease.
Yeah, true.
So whenever you're trying to justify your whatever you're tackling any question of it, you need to tackle it in such a way that you need to bring in legal aspect, ethical aspect, and moral aspect.
All right.
So at times I can ask you a question, and that's all I'll want you to now put into play. So, for example, driving at 120, it's legal, and you are with your siblings and everything. That is there's a lot of ethics but who have been involved in a very serious accident, that becomes insincere and immoral, as it doesn't paint a very good picture because of the past experiences that someone had that you haven't experienced. So already we have two different people with two different perceptions towards you driving that fast.
Okay.
And another example would be
Sorry.
Another example would be, let's say, I like using my examples are tangible. You take someone who doesn't drink to a bar. Let's say, let me not say someone who doesn't drink. You take a pastor to an environment like a bar environment. Is that unethical, or that's not moral? That's not morally acceptable. I'm taking my pastor for lunch. Then it's a pastor to a beer hall to buy him lunch there. Is that ethical or immoral?
It is ethical, but it's immoral for you to be around the place.
It's not proper for you to. Why you decided that it's immoral is because of the cape that the pastor brings, which is a religion. All right. Another example. Okay, I'm trying to use gender now. I'm trying to factor in gender because most of these we've tried to tackle. Something morals, gender. Anyone to come in?
Morals on gender vasikana pane this issue yematrousers yekupfeka kwematrousers nevasikana,
short and even short things, and
yeah.
Is that unethical or immoral?
In some church kwangu it's immoral.
It's immoral, but
yes.
Anyone wearing trousers or your SDA, and
yeah.
So but now that is both gender and religion.
Yes.
All right. Let me give you this example. You are a newly wedded couple, and your wife hugs your father. Is that ethical?
Can you come again, Baron?
Your wife hugs your father.
Okay.
Hazvitenderizo.
Hakuna kula.
But okay, azvitenderwi handiti, but it is only in our African context pasingatenderwi. But
Yeah.
in a European setup or an American setup, they hug, the wives hug my in-laws. See, so that's the difference. You see, manzwa response ya total wenze azvitenderwi. It's no response here to engage. There's certain things. Some people are actually strong believers, but no, it's a moral, it's unethical. It's taboo in some cases, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It depends on what on. So you see now morals they've got. I think taboo it's from Teams Mango. Trying to find my desktop in Dabuda. Very sure.
But we are hearing you.
Yeah. No, it's the recording part that I'm worried about.
Okay.
Because to go recorded about desktop and presenting using my phone. All right, so I know it's fine. We can proceed. So I was saying, in morals, they've got different. They vary because of age, culture, and ethnic, religion, life experiences, education, and gender. Right? It's for like I gave you this example before. Men can smoke; it's morally acceptable, but for a lady to smoke, there is a bit of tension that would arise. So that's an example of things that are morally acceptable, but depending on gender.
What's the clear distinction? So say what's the clear distinction between morals and ethics? The clear distinction.
Clear distinction.
Yeah.
The other one, it's about beliefs, ethics. Then morals, it's in an arrangement. It's an agreed arrangement between a certain group.
Even though it is not what vango agree, tisingaisi kuissue legality and it.
It has got nothing to do with legality.
All right.
You in your class, you can set your morals based on probably an organization. For this and this behavior is not acceptable morally. So it really depends on a group agreeing on something.
But my ethics are on self.
And ethics now, it's beliefs of that particular group. Now I'm failing to access my
Group or individual? Are they
No.
basing on group or individual?
still group.
Or still group?
Still group. Okay, clear distinction and it. Let me give an example of let's give a clear example of, let's say, we gave an example of let's say smoking. If you go to smoking is legal, but in some cases it's unethical. It's unethical for someone to smoke in class. It's unethical for someone to smoke in class. But now when we want to bring it to morals now, we're saying women smoking, it's immoral, although in some cases it's ethical. So you need to, why it's immoral? Because a group of people discussed or have a certain understanding or agreed understanding with this behavior is unacceptable. I gave an example of your wife hugging your father. Someone was like, that because it's immoral. Not that it's unethical, no, it's just immoral. So there's a thin line between morals and ethics. And more often than not, you get people who interchange those things.
Yeah.
So like I said before, everything hinges on how you explain, how you defend your position. For
Okay.
me, of course, if I ask a question on morals and on ethics and legal will be the only thing that is fixed. Morals and ethics, it depends on your principle, on how you defend.
Yeah, noted. You can proceed on that one.
So I'm sure most of you guys have submitted your assignment.
Yes, we have.
And that's fine. That's fine. But I'm sure we'll talk later. So now we've discussed professionals, we've discussed ethics, we've discussed morals. Now we are now into something that is legal. These are laws. Laws. I'm very sure. Something is legal. You stand a chance to go to prison. It's a system. Definition is a system of rules that tells us what we can and cannot do. Laws are enforced by a set of institutions. So the police, the courts, law-making bodies. Legal acts are acts that conform to the law. Moral acts conform to an individual belief of right or wrong. Laws can proclaim an act illegal, although many people consider it an act immoral, immoral act. So basically, what this is saying, what we're trying to say is, when you're following set rules now, there are rules and laws that are there. If someone says my house is locked at 10 o'clock p.m., that is their set of laws in that particular house. So that's how we can try and distinguish our laws. I don't think there's much problem when it comes to law. We know if something is illegal. My name is here, and remember the law claims ignorance is no excuse. So you not knowing that you're doing something illegal is not the basis for you to say I can do it because it's illegal. I've got an example that I had. There's a guy who found a rhino tusk, a rhino horn, or elephants their tusks, rhinos their horns. So this guy found a horn, a rhino horn. He took it home. He put it in a very nice frame, and he mounted the frame on the wall. And so the person mounted the frame on the wall. That frame was there for as long as anyone could remember. A lot of people came in, saw the frame, went out, came in, saw the frame. So apparently this guy was having challenges with his neighbors. So his neighbors reported him to parks, and he claimed this guy poached the rhino, killed the rhino and took the horn. So the parks and wildlife authorities came. They found the horn. They arrested the guy. The guy claimed, I don't know whether it's legal or not. I just found this. This thing has been there for the past 30 years. Ignorance is no excuse. he doesn't have a license to have that rhino horn. So he was arrested. So just because you don't have, he was arrested because he was possession of rhino horns without a license. So just because he didn't know that what he was doing was illegal doesn't change the fact that what he was doing was illegal. We had in the past where a guy was poaching. Well, I know Gamador, and he was attacked by a leopard. He killed the leopard in self-defense. He went to the hospital. The guy was arrested because of poaching. They claimed he was poaching those mapani worms. He claimed he didn't know. He was not arrested for the act of killing the leopard because he was defending himself. He was arrested by the fact that he was illegally collecting mapani worms without a license. So just because you're doing something without knowledge of the law doesn't mean you are exempted from the law. So that's how the law is established. And there is a saying which says Mosha Erore. So just because you did something illegal in 1980, you can still be arrested for that thing in 2020, 40 years later. So that's the law for you. Right. So any questions so far, guys?
So far, so good.
All right, that's fine. So now I've got a statement here which says, man when perfected is the best of animals, but when separated from the law and justice is the worst of them all. Can someone explain that statement? Man when perfected is the best of animals, but when separated from the law and justice is the worst of them.
All right. I think I can try saying on this
Yeah,
note.
go ahead.
All right. I think this statement is just trying to say moon.
You can use English because I'm sure some might not understand the name.
Not a problem, say. So I think this statement is just trying to articulate that a man, for him to be better, usually is governed by these laws. But if we remove these laws in place, you'll be worse than an animal because he has so many things which he needs to do, but he cannot do just because there is a law. So, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else to attend?
Yes, actually, I am with this guy who says that when there's no law, there is chaos. So the law is there to perfect a person.
Okay. For argument's sake, I'm going to be against that. For argument's sake, see, everyone is supporting, but when you're dealing with this course, like I said, there are no right or wrong answers. Number one, we're assuming the word perfected means law, but it never said anything about morals and ethics. So men can be governed by ethics and morals and still be the best of animals.
Correct.
This is very guys, and
Yeah, this was the same just
why I was saying most of these questions, when you want to tackle them in law, ethics, and morals.
all right.
Like we talked about before, there's certain things that are unethical but legal. I'll give you an example of something that is ethical but legal. And snitching, going to the police, telling them that my neighbor sells drugs. That is legal. But the ethical part, not so much. So we say no snitching. When we're growing, once don't tell, once don't tell on people. So that behavior is legal, but on the ethical side, it's not so ethical. And we've got cases of something that could be illegal but ethical. And someone can voices of an act that is illegal but ethical. Guys, give an example of an act.
When no bread, that is ethical because the child was hungry. Legal.
Yeah, proceed. For those who don't have microphone, you're allowed to type in your responses. An action that is illegal but ethical.
Illegal.
We've heard of Robin Hood. Robin Hood was stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. The fact that he was stealing means it was illegal, but giving to the poor is ethical.
Yeah.
So that's an example. Give me another example. Okay. One more example. One more example.
Okay. Driving past a red robot or red traffic light is illegal. But when you're doing it because it's an emergency, and let's say, for example, if got someone who's about to deliver or to go on labor, or maybe someone did an accident, and it's a critical, because you need to get to the hospital on time. But crossing the red robots.
That is very correct. If you're saving life and you ethically, it's acceptable. It's acceptable for you to break the law because you're saving life. Someone is delivering.
Yes.
You're permitted to ethically, not legally. You're permitted to speed. But if you cross the red robot, It's illegal, but the act of it is still ethical and morally acceptable. That's a good example. Now I've got a chart there, a table, which has got a title, Most Common Forms of Employee Misconduct. Number one, which is the greatest percentage, is misuse of company time. Kwenda pa YouTube, urubasa. That's misuse of company time. Abusive behavior. You can abuse your power, or you can be rude to subordinates. That's abusive behavior. Lying to employees. If you say Ningi, he was just here. that's misconduct. So that's the table. That's the misconduct. So in your words, what is misconduct? So now we're now in an organization setup, and what in your words is misconduct? I want to hear from either Fungai or against TN. Fungai, TN, or Lee. Misconduct.
Sorry, can you please come again, say on your question?
What is misconduct?
That's generally it's the behavior which is not allowed, probably at your workplace or in a certain group, whereby there are set rules.
Okay, Mr. Lincoln. Go ahead, Mr. Lincoln. Lincoln, you have your hand up. It's fine. You can proceed. Okay. So for me, I would simply say misconduct. These dismissible offenses. Dismissible offenses are things that are permitted to be done by the company.
But say, can we say these are dismissible?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask something?
No, give me your point of view.
Okay. I think a misconduct in an organization, we have got what you call code of conducts, which gives us the guidelines on how to carry day-to-day activities. But these, when you breach these code of conducts, there are some penalties that are leveled against that individuals. Not just that they can be dismissible, unless if it's a severe case.
All right.
For example, talked about using YouTube at work. Then someone steals from a company, who should be dismissed?
Okay. Someone who stole and it can be dismissed. I think I had, it's a poor choice of words on my part. Let me say chargeable offense. How's that?
Right, it's correct.
Thank you. He brought in something very vital, code of conduct. Doar, we're going to talk about code of conduct. No problem with time. So right now we've got misconduct. These are chargeable offense. Based on the code of conduct, the document that every company provides, it's got a list of acceptable things and unacceptable things, and the penalty for each and every unacceptable things. So the code of conduct is subdivided into a lot of other documents, company policy and whatnot. So so at the end of the day, what that code of conduct tries to do is just to inform its employees on how to do things in an ethically acceptable behavior within the said business. So the actual definition of the code of conduct or code of ethics, and it's in this one, it is the same thing. And a code of ethics is a statement that highlights an organizational key ethical issues, identifies and overreaches values and principles that are important to the organization and its decision. Guys, muchiri kundenzwa?
Yes, sir.
So at the end of the day, what we want is, like I said before, ignorance is no excuse.
Yes, not a
So when
debate. Yeah.
when something is said to be unethical in terms of organization, it means that thing needs to be written down. You can't say this is unethical when there's no documentation to support that it's something is unethical. So you cannot be charged if there is no written down document to say to support that. Same applies in a country where it is not specified that abortion is legal or illegal. You can abortion yeah, zim. Witchcraft doesn't exist. Am I right or am I wrong? Constitutionally, witchcraft does not exist. So you can't.
You're right.
You can't go to court claiming this person bewitched because it's not written anyway for it to be a chargeable offense. So when we say chargeable offense, if you kill someone, it is written to when you kill someone. Either that's homicide. It could be either culpable homicide, or it could be unintentional, or it could be manslaughter or premeditated murder. So one offense can lead to several offenses. So because you don't know doesn't give you the right to do some of it. Culpable homicide is probably, let's say you're driving and someone gets killed in your car. It wasn't your intentions. So in terms of jail sentence, it carries a lighter sentence. So back to our discussion. Code of conduct lists down everything that is unethical within the organization. Everything that is illegal within the organization. So misuse of company time is not allowed because you are abusing company time. Abusive behavior, lying to employees, company resource abuse, violating company internet use policies. So if there is no company internet use policy, no one can come to you and say you are abusing you're abusing the internet, because there's nothing that supports you abusing the internet. But they can charge you with misusing company time. So some of these things are did. They, instead of being charged with one offense, you end up being charged with two offenses. Or in your act on trying to cover up for one offense, you end up committing other offenses. So let's proceed. So at the end of the day, companies need to make decisions, and we have got different types of leaders that every organization possesses. A well-implemented ethic and compliance program and a strong ethical culture in turn leads to less pressure on employees misbehaving. Sexual harassment is illegal, it's unethical, it's an unmoral, it's immoral, whichever way you want to put it across. So if your ethical code of ethics and compliance program, and compliance simply means adhering to the laws that are there. If you've got a very strong ethical program, and it would lead to people committing such an offense less, because it has been made well known to everyone. So the more you avail or implement such compliance and ethical programs, the less those offenses are going to be offended or are going to take place. So if you've got a very strong outreach program on sexual harassment, the occurrence of that offense tend to be less because it has been emphasized. So that is what that statement is trying to allude. If you've got an anti-fraud policy which is comprehensive and it is implemented properly, it deters employees to misbehave or do fraudulent activities because they're well aware of that. But when it's a lot of gray areas and it's not clear, people tend to misbehave or do those offenses because employees would know how to work the system. But if it's comprehensive, then and the system is solid, then there's no room for those misbehaving employees to do whatever it is they want to do. That's fine. So a well-implemented program and a strong ethical culture reduces ethical risk. Ethics risk is whereby we're saying the risk of something unethical occurring. So reduced pressure of misconduct yields a decrease in observed misconduct because of those well-implemented programs and strong ethical culture. Reduced retaliation of reporting, increasing reporting of misconduct. At the end of the day, the goal is to reduce ethics risk. So we've got two things: reduced pressure of misconduct, reduced retaliation for reporting. The other one decreases observed misconduct. The other one increases reporting misconduct. I hope you see the relationship on how we reduce that ethics risk. The other one decreases observed misconduct. The other one increases reporting of misconduct. So the other one is how can I put it? On a layman perspective, it's a carrot and a stick. Increasing reporting is the stick. Decreasing in observed misconduct is the carrot. At the end of the day, we're just trying to reduce the risks of ethics, of breaching my contracts or whatever. So appointing a corporate ethics officer. What in your words is a corporate ethics office? what is a corporate ethics officer? What is his role in an organization? Ladies and gentlemen, corporate ethics officer. Mukundinzwere, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Corporate ethics officer. Lincoln, you've got your head up. Anyone? Okay. It's okay. Let's proceed. So, a corporate ethics officer can be called a compliance officer, provides an organization with vision and leadership in the area of business conduct. Keyword: business conduct. This individual aligns the practice of a workplace with stated ethics and beliefs of a workplace, holding people accountable to ethic behaviors. So that is what an ethical officer does. So keyword: business conduct, and he holds people accountable to standards that have been written in the business conduct or code of conduct. Okay. Code of
Sorry.
conduct.
Maybe I'm not getting it right. Can an internal auditor be a corporate compliance officer?
Can you elaborate a bit on your question, sir?
What I'm saying is we are talking about a corporate compliance officer, and I understand the say was talking about this the business conduct. And an internal auditor, his role is to see that the business functions are aligned, or the business systems are aligned to the corporate objectives of that of an organization. So that's why I'm saying, is it the same in internal auditor and the corporate compliance officer?
Any takers? He's asking if the difference between an internal audit and a corporate compliance officer. It's a very good question.
I think an internal auditor say, for example, accounting. It's more technical in the work that's being done, rather than maybe behavior or personal. I don't know which words to use. Conduct, other than outside of the technical areas, be it accounting or IT related.
Okay, thank you. To add on to that, compliance officer is mainly in the HR department, whereby we're saying Ninga is abusing work equipment. So those are ethic behaviors of business conduct. But in internal auditor checks whether computers that came to a certain area, are they the same? The money that you say you receipted, is it the same? Checking, verifying whether what you're saying is there are things that are actually there. Remember, we've got security audits as well. When we're saying you're claiming that then that we didn't have enough tax, but is that the actual things that are on the ground? So the audit department is in charge of, how can I put it, verify, ver, verifying technically, I think so, verifying in terms of infrastructure or business process. Remember, each organization has got a different structure. So you can have a structure whereby the internal auditor does the same thing as compliance officer. But others have got a unit called Quality Assurance Office, which deals with compliance issues. So it's in other organization, this corporate quality ethics officer is part of the HR. So it depends on the nature of organizational setup. Because from what I'm getting, you are at Colliery and the corporate compliance officer has got the same job description as internal audit.
Correct.
Because in this case, it's saying a trained professional tasked with providing independent, objective evaluation of company financial and operational business activities. Company finance and operational business activities, where compliance officer provides organization with vision and leadership in the area of business conduct. The individual aligns practice of workplace with stated ethics and beliefs. Okay, so like I said before, it depends on the job description that is assigned to someone. Other organizations don't even have corporate ethics office. Everything rests on the HR manager. Others, there's a quality department. It checks the quality of everything that is being done, be it service delivery, being product. And other organizations don't even have general audit. That is the job of the chief accountant. So when they're asking for a person or they're advertising for a post, they say a person who has this has got an added advantage. Take, for example, a library, systems librarian. Systems librarian can either be a librarian or an information scientist. So they would say, if you have information science, you need to bridge with a library course. If you're a librarian, you need to bridge with an information course. Information course. So it depends with the nature of the organization. Right. Let's proceed. Code of conduct, I'm sure you guys understood. Sorry, the Papa Pinda phone call. A code of conduct is a statement that highlights an organization's ethical issues and identifies values and principles that are important to the organization and its decision making. So basically, these are ethical issues that are stated. So you are not allowed to it's in your best interest to adhere to this said ethical issues. So moving on. These are 4 common approaches of ethical decision making. Approaches to deal with an ethical issue. Remember, this also depends on the nature of leadership quality that the leader is employing. And you know the types of leadership qualities, and guys, types of leadership. All right, that's fine. Let's proceed. So virtue ethics approach, it's based on virtues. The ethical choice best reflects moral virtues in yourself and in your community. Can someone give me an example? Virtues, all right, it's fine. We can always proceed. Utilitarian approach, ethical choices produce the greatest excess of benefits over harm. You're choosing the greater good. You're choosing the greater good in any situation. Fairness approach, the ethical choice treats everyone the same. It shows no favoritism or discrimination. If you're taking the president to court, the president is going to be tried the same as anyone. That's the fairness approach. Utilitarian is whereby you're looking at the greater good. The virtue approach is whereby you reflecting on the virtues that the community or the individual possesses. Common good approach.
Sorry, sir. I just want to understand on the virtue ethics approach. Are we not talking about the status of a person?
I asked you guys to give me an example. I was going to explain faith. So you guys kept quiet.
We were still thinking, sir.
You see, this works best if we participate. So if you don't participate, we'll simply slide over.
Okay.
So I asked you an example of the virtue ethics. Virtues. What are virtues?
Maybe from my taking, I'll give an example. I don't know whether it's valid or not. When we're talking about a virtue, we're talking about, let's talk about a law enforcer and is found doing something that is not ethical. So by the virtue of what he knows his roles and duties, but he goes against them. I think that's what is meant by virtue ethics.
Okay. Any takers? Anyone else? Guys.
Yeah, virtue generally means power, as I see it. Virtue means power. Yeah, so you'll be using the power that will be in you.
Okay. So that's what. Virtue. What am chisel you
Virtue characteristics which are likable or the positive ones from the moral perspective. That's my understanding of virtues.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So virtue ethics and it is an approach of decision making that focuses on how you should behave and think about relationships. So you gave a police officer. Police officer found doing something illegal. The relationship between you and that police officer can influence how you make a decision. I hope you get where I'm coming. If I find my pastor doing something unethical, or he is employed at work and is my pastor, my decision is going to be based on the virtues that he possesses. the power that he possesses, like you say. So it depends on the circumstances. That example you put it passed away. So my decision is going to be based on the virtues that the person I'm trying to maybe fire or suspend with the person is. An example would be, someone is hard work. Someone comes to work every day to work, literally every day in this early, and one day they're late. So the decision, your decision is going to be based on how your relationship was with that person. I hope you got this.
Now understandable.
So moving on to utilitarian. This is the person is basically saying this is for the greater good. If it means if we are trapped in a submarine or spaceship, and there are 5 people, and we need a certain amount of oxygen to get to Earth, so we can't get to Earth, the 5 of us. We need to find a way to reduce oxygen intake. And the person says, no, you guys, we can kill one of us. It's the greater good. That's utilitarian. You understand?
Tricky.
You're not focused much on anything. You mainly focused on the benefits. Doesn't matter how many people you strive for, or how many people you stamp on, or how many people you shrub, as long as you get the job done. This could be politicians. It doesn't matter what they do as long as they win the election.
Okay.
So utilitarian approach is mainly focused on the benefits. Doesn't matter about, does not really concerned about the cost to getting those results, as long as the results are obtained. Fairness approach is whereby we're saying there's no favor or discrimination. Everyone is treated equal. Doesn't matter who you are. If you are the CEO and you come to work late, you are charged. It doesn't matter who you are. That is fairness approach. The last but not least is common good approach. It says ethical choice advances for the common good. What we're doing, is it right? Is it right, Terry? Where would we go? You consider a lot of things. At the end of the day, you're just trying to come up with, and it's based on the vision of the society. So at times, someone who's got Munu who donates food to a poor society, let's say in the rural areas, and that person used an annual power and that person is found to do something unethical. That's where the common good comes in right now, whereby you're saying, should we prosecute, and if we do, will that benefit everyone? You see now the dimensions that are there. Does it benefit everyone? Where would we end up being? So that is mainly it about common good. So moving on.
Maybe for the sake of conversation, a common goal approach. Currently, we're having the issue of this COVID vaccination. So is this for It's an example of a common good.
Right. With most of my real life examples, it's going to be very difficult for you to find just one approach that best suits everything. Everything would have a hint of something. So it's parents budget. We're saying you want everyone to be vaccinated. That's fairness approach. Whether you are the president or you are a cleaner, you want everyone to be vaccinated. That's a fairness approach. But we are vaccinating because we want to reduce the spread or the effects of the COVID-19 virus or the virus. That is the greater good that becomes utilitarian.
Noted.
So like I said before, how you choose to explain becomes key. There are no right or wrong answers, but how you choose to explain becomes key. So however you view anything, how you approach it, you can answer it how you want, but as long as you've got supporting evidence, no, this is the common good, and we want everyone to do this. We want everyone to get vaccinated, but common good states that we are looking at the benefit of, at the end of the day, will this be beneficial for everyone? Of what? Yes, it is, because we want a COVID-19 free generation in 2030, so that can become common good. It depends with how you structure your answer. Are we in agreement?
Yes.
No, that's fine. I've got a diagram where it says professional relationships IT workers must manage. I need someone to explain that for everyone. Are you saying there are no ladies in this book? Lee is a lady. Lee. Madam Lee. Okay, how many of us are in the IT department in our workplace? How many of us are in the IT department?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Have you noticed that there's no office that you do not enter into?
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. You approach each and every office.
Each and every office you end up.
Each and every office.
So that is the relationship. 10 minutes. That is the relationship between IT and everyone else. When you're in the IT department, you interact with employees, clients, suppliers, professionals, other IT users in society at large. So that is the long and short of what I'm just trying to say, what that diagram is saying. It's simply that all the people that when you're in the IT department, whether we're in IT technique, you enter into each and every office. You get calls from each and every office. If you're in the IT department, you'll be either the most loved person or the most hated person. Because you provide solutions or you provide challenges. So that's what I was just trying to elaborate. Just that's diagram. Now we're coming to a few things that are interesting. Number one is whistleblowing, and then number two is conflict of interest. Whistleblowing is snitching, long and short of it. I see someone doing something unethical or illegal. I can simply tip my manager or my supervisor or someone with relevant authorities so that they take action. So that is the idea of it, is so that you remain anonymous, so they don't know it is you. So you can whistleblow on your boss, or you can whistleblow on your subordinate. But if it's your subordinate, you're able to take direct action. So whistleblowing is an effort by an employee to attract attention to a negligent, illegal, unethical, abusive, or dangerous act by a company that threatens public interest. So from that definition, you can see you can also whistleblow on a company. Whistleblowers often have special information based on their expertise or position within the offending organization. So what this means is, let's say, Mr. David, you said you internal auditors, and you discover that your organization is flaunting procedures. You can whistleblow because you've got special information based on your profession or your expertise or your position within that offending organization. How many times have we had that Hansi Kupoli, some lecturers take bribes to give students exams? Have we heard about that?
So come again, sir.
Polytechnical lecturers and teachers taking bribes so that they give students exams and allow students to pass.
All right, yeah, it's a common saying. It's all over.
It's all over. That's
Always hear about that.
There will be students who would have whistled on that particular lecture. No, our lecturer is asking us for money so that he passes, he makes us pass. That is unethical, and if you go to the HOD, he might be in on the scheme. So the best would be to go outside so that you can get help. So if ever this happens in this organization, please find means to get it known, because we strive to be a world-class university, and that such behavior is not tolerated at all. So basically, that example is where the student has valuable information based on that their student's position. Probably it has happened before to the student, and they are fed up for it. And also, this goes to even project. Someone says, for me to supervise you, give me money. Feel free to whistleblow. Feel free to alert anyone on such practice. We don't tolerate that practice. So whistleblowing, why I say these two go in hand in hand. The other one is conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is a conflict between IT work, self-interest, and the interest of the client. Why I say these things go hand in hand. The student is my client. You are our clients. You are our stakeholder. And I make you pay for me to supervise you. That is conflict of interest, because the interest of the organization and interest of the student and your interest, they are not tallying, they are not in tandem. Another example of a conflict of interest situation is whereby I work at a school, and at a school I'm a teacher of mathematics, and I meet with parents every day, every now and then, and I've got a college which offers mathematics. So there is conflict of interest now. If I'm going to market the program, let's say mathematics, who am I marketing for? Am I marketing for my organization, or I'm marketing for my school? So that is an example of conflict of interest. So now I'm bringing it to the floor. Can someone give me an example where one can whistleblow and it affects the interest of the organization? It brings about conflict of interest. An example where there's conflict of interest and there's need for whistleblowing. Over to you guys.
Hello, sir. Hello?
Yes, we're here, sir.
All right. On the issue of conflict of interest in the whistleblowing, we can actually look at the present scenario where there is the prohibition of intercity travel.
Okay.
But where we have intercity travel, yeah, then we have these police officers who are manning the roadblocks, who can actually provide, who can actually put their commuter omnibus on the road to actually ferry passengers from one city to another. So, in the actual which needs whistleblowing, and the other side, these police officers, they won't be able to post that particular thing because there will be a conflict of interest. They need to enforce, at the same time they need to make the omnibus operate on the on those areas which are prohibited by the government.
All right. I just want to try and explain. I just want to put it into context. All right. Let's say you're a traffic police officer. I'm just adding on to what you said. Let's say you're a traffic police officer.
Yeah.
And you have you are in charge of traffic. And there's an operation where they're saying they're arresting every mshika vehicle, those Honda Fits, and that ferries illegally ferry passengers. You know mshika?
Yeah.
So there's an operation whereby they're saying they're arresting all the mshika vehicles. If there's a police officer who's in charge of arresting those guys, and impounding those cars, and that person has got his own cars on the road that do exactly the same thing. You see now how conflict of interest will arise. The person can't arrest his, or he can't impound his own mshika cars, but his job is to impound those mshika cars.
Yeah.
So there's need for someone to whistleblow in such a situation. There's several how conflict of interest. So now can I have an example which is IT related? An example of conflict of interest which is IT related.
All right, I think I can give one, sir.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, fine. Right now, I would like to give an example of an IT worker, like what we are doing right now. It's like there are some cases where you can actually see that the IT workers, especially those ones working in the technical department, you know, dealing with the technical issues. There are some cases where the time you'll be interacting with the company clients, you certainly meet some of the clients that will create a personal relationship with you, up to the extent that by the end of the day, they'll come with their issues directly to you and you charge them directly. And the man will not go to the company. So you'll be pursuing your own personal benefits, but using the company resources, the company brand name. People will get to know you with the company that you're working for. But you take that one now as an advantage and you interact with clients, you create personal relationships. And by the end of the day, you begin gaining much from the clients, paying you for what you'll be doing. And the man will not be going directly to the client. And as we go, you actually see that some of the individuals who do that, they'll, by the end of the day, create their own brands from these clients they get from the company, something like that. I think that is a very big conflict of interest that requires whistleblowing when found happening on the other organization. There is need for loyalty when working for an IT company.
That is a very good example.
Okay,
And if you
thanks.
notice those particular individuals, they'll create companies. They'll create companies, leave the organization, go away with the same clientele that they were working for. So that will be double dipping. That's a very good example. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I'm sure.
Sorry, I just want to add. I'll take you back to say the conflict of interest when there's no policy in place for this particular issue. Can it stand to say it's a conflict of interest in an organization?
All right. Now, when it comes to conflict of interest, it's very difficult to state exactly what it is, because normally, like most of these examples, they arise. Like the example that we could that was given by Mr. That's Lincoln, and
Lincoln, yes.
okay, by Mr. Lincoln. So he's saying you work for an IT department. Let's say you service computers or you install networks. So by the fact that you install networks, remember I gave you a diagram, this diagram, where we're saying the IT worker interacts with employers, clients, suppliers, professionals, IT users in society. So the IT worker interacts with clients. Then the IT worker, by virtue of the relationship that they build, because they've been working together for a while, they might now, instead of calling the manager to have you do the job, they call you direct for you to go and do the job for them. Let's say you installing a network, and I'm working at, let's say, so, and there is a company, let's say, okay, that wants their network installed. The normal procedure is the manager gives me job cards, then I go and service them. But if I do that frequently, I get to have a relationship with the people at OK or TM. So in future, they might end up having to call me directly, because they know it's not the manager who's going to do this job, but it's me who's going to do the job. But with time now, this is what will happen. The guy manager, it's okay, he's got his own maybe home internet that he wants installed. He then calls, instead of asking the organization, he then just calls me, my friend, can you install the network for me? Then I'll say, no, I can install it for you for such and such a fee. So as opposed for you to pay the organization this much, you can pay me this much. So at the end of the day, that brings in conflict of interest, because the money that you're getting is supposed to have gone to the organization. You are being paid to do that job, but because of your own personal interests that arise, you end up having to to get that money, hence double tipping. Then the point being, it's very difficult for you to document issues of conflict of interest because they are vast and varied.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's very difficult to document the conflicts of interest. It's very difficult. But
Because
however, it's something that can just be stated maybe in the code of conduct of the company, something they can just state as the terms are just conflict of interest. I think you can just state it so that at least we have a bit of a reference on charging individuals for that.
Yeah. So the individuals who are in charge of coming up with the code of conduct, yeah, if you notice, the code of conduct is almost always being updated.
Yeah.
Almost always being updated because there are new and more innovative ways of bridging or having conflict of interest. Zvakawanda. It's like unoshanda kukoko and you have your own butcher which sells pork. You can still claim clients.
It's tricky.
So there is no written down way you put it. No, every employee should not have a butchery which sells pork. So it's very difficult for you to document. But of course, it's neither here nor there. If you've got a very good a team, you can probably, like you said, just state it. I know when doing work. But normally, I've noticed they when they're stating it now, they normally say during working hours. So you can do whatever you want as long as it's not what during working hours.
And as long as you are not using the company resources.
Company resources, yes.
Yeah. You don't need to be using the company computers. You don't need to be using the company softwares. Let's say in graphic designing, you are not supposed to be using the softwares that you got from the company unless if you have got your own. Yes, that's better.
Even company premises, company time. So when you say company resources, you've charged on everything because time is a resource. Those of resources, everything, personnel and everything. So let's try and move on. I'm sure we're almost through. Time is almost up. Our tutorial is supposed to be just 2 hours already. We're past the hour mark. Okay, so let's talk about this before we bribes and gift. What's a bribe and what's a gift?
Hello?
What is a bribe and what's a gift? I've just given you the differences there.
Okay, all right. Oh, we are talking about bribes.
Talking about bribes.
All right.
Ninki was given a bribe. Ninki was given a bribe. But at the end of the day, you discover he can leave office and come back with maybe a voucher. So how do you differentiate a bribe now from a gift?
We now already have something to read on the screen.
Yeah. Stay on the screen, yes. But I want to hear from Pearson Grant, yes. Pearson, tell us. Voice round. Pearson.
Okay, I'm with Pearson. Right now. I think he can talk to my computer.
That's fine. Mr. Pearson. Mr. Pearson, it's there on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Difference between a bribe and a gift. And what is the impact of a bribe?
Okay, I think a bribe, we are talking of I can give an example here. A police officer given money on the road kuti akwanise kuti motikari dzidarike, like a situation yekuti guys news maybe
It's fine, Mr. President. Basically, a bribe is something that you give someone in return for them doing something or not doing something. So a bribe now becomes illegal because let's say we're gunning for tenders. Then I know the people are going to authorize the tenders. I can just go there, not guys, tender is maybe 10,000. I give you $100 or $200 for you to approve my tender. So that's a bribe. Are we in agreement? The differences are there. I pass screen up. Bribes are made in secrets, gifts are open, and the gesture for friendship and goodwill. Like I'm saying, like I said before, your boss can go for a meeting with, let's say, a client. Then the client offers the company maybe a voucher or maybe computers as a gift, something, laptop as a gift. Normally, gifts occur when you have had a bit of time dealing with that person and bonds and friendships are created. Other difference is bribes are often made indirectly through a third party, and gifts are made directly from donor to recipient. Then bribes encourage obligation for the recipient to act favorably towards the donor. And that's very key. You can, let's say you have been arrested for hacking RBZ website. You're taken to court. You can I committed such and such a crime. Don't take me to prison. I'll pay you this much. And the decision goes to your favor. That's a bribe, and it's illegal. Gift now comes with no expectation of future favor or return. Just giving someone, my guy, thank you so much for good business. There you go. So there's a thin line, but now I've noticed we masquerade gifts. We masquerade bribes as gifts. A bribe could be someone failed an assignment. They want to pass that assignment. They offer me money. That's a bribe. It's illegal. And remember, all of these things, they've got different content. A gift, like I said, can be masqueraded, but its intentions will be a bribe. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this brings us to the end of our tutorial, our first tutorial. We will schedule a second tutorial maybe in a week or two, because and most of you are part fours, you're presenting your proposals or your projects, and so you guys are defending your projects on the 18th. So we're trying to scrabble everything to get those done. You got your assignment one feedback. Reflect on it. As soon as you submit your assignments, I'll mark them, give you feedback before your exams, because all I want you guys to